Performing data triage collections using DP2C is easy. This video is just one of many videos in the free P2C video training series from Paraben. In this section, we will demonstrate how to perform data triage collections using DP2C or Deployable P2 Commander. Deployable P2 Commander does come on a USB thumb drive. It's software contained within there. It operates in both the forensic mode or non-forensic mode. For forensic mode, you will boot into the USB drive using your boot options, and then launch the DP2C software. It will have an interface that will be similar to the non-forensic mode, and we're going to demonstrate the non-forensic mode. Non-forensic mode can be run on a live system, so you plug in the USB drive and open up the folder. When you do, you're going to launch the DP2C launcher.exe. That is going to open up the DP2C interface. Now the interface is very simple. We have a quick scan or default scan option, or we have a custom scan option. Now let's go through the differences between the two. When we click on the quick scan, it's going to start scanning for data on the system. Now the data it's going to scan for are email databases, chat databases, browser data, my documents folders, and recently used files. Now keep in mind that as we scan for this data, we're not doing a scan of every file on the hard drive. We are using registry data to be able to look for email databases that are associated with software that's been installed on the system. So on this system, Outlook has been installed, and we're seeing at least 2 email databases so far that are associated with Outlook. Now if I had other email databases that are not associated with the registry, it's not going to find that, and that's just the nature of triage collections and triage examinations. It's not going to be comprehensive, and we're going to be using the resources that we have available to make it very fast and convenient for us. So as you can see, the scan is very quick. So we've already scanned the entire system for these types of data. Once we hit continue, you can see here all the options that we have for acquiring it. Now we're going to have to choose where we're going to acquire the data to, and we're going to choose what we're going to acquire. Now I recommend that if you're going to do a data triage collection, if you know anything about the system, it's going to help you out here. I know on this system, under my documents folders, most of the user data is stored under the my documents folder. This includes gigabytes of movies, of MP3s, of pictures, and everything else. So I may want to skip this because it could take hours, or even several hours to be able to acquire this, and that's going to kind of defeat the purpose of a data triage collection if I'm going to spend more time doing a quick collection than it would to image the entire hard drive. So I'm going to unselect the my documents folders. I do want the recently used files because that's going to generally be documents that have been used by the user. I'm going to choose the email databases, the chat databases, and the browser data as well. I'm going to define where I'm going to collect it to. DP2C does collect data to Paraben forensic containers. These are the proprietary forensic containers that are loaded into P2C for analysis. So I have the option to create a new forensic container or add this data to an existing forensic container. Now the forensic container type that is used for data triage collections is a dynamically expanding or P2D file rather than the static or P2S file. I'm going to choose the path. Now you're going to want to have a collection drive or an evidence drive that you're going to connect to the computer as well. You're not going to want to collect it to the same thumb drive that DP2C is on, because there's just not going to be enough room. And you're not going to want to collect it to the C drive because that's where you're collecting data from, and you're really going to contaminate the drive if you collect all the data there. You can set a password. The forensic containers are encrypted, but you can also password protect them for add a layer of security if you want. Additional acquisition options include extracting data from archives. This will slow things down, so if you want to open up every archive, zip, and RAR file to look for the data that you've selected. Now for a targeted, for the default options, this isn't going to really affect things because it's really going to be going after those few categories we talked. This really takes more effect into the when we select the different types of data, and if you select documents and videos and things like that, it's going to, you can choose to extract it out of zip files if you want to. Now we can also choose to calculate SHA-1 for all the acquired files. By default, it does calculate the MD5, so you do have hash value calculation by default. This is just if you want to also calculate the SHA-1. This will also slow down the acquisition a bit. So keep in mind these options as you are making your decisions, because it will slow things down. Once we've got everything selected, we can hit acquire, and it will start to collect that data to the location. Now I'm not going to do that in the interest of time here. I'm going to go ahead and hit back. Now, by default, once I close that out, it's looking for the space on the thumb drive that I've said that I want to collect the data to, and since I've by default selected the same drive as the DP2C drive, it's telling me, hey, you don't want to do that. So I'm going to say no, I really don't want to do that. I'm going to cancel, go back, and I'm going to go back and show you the custom scan options. So the custom scan options, you can see, is a little bit different than the default scan. Rather than just looking for email and internet history and chat logs and my documents, things like that, it's going to scan every file by file type that we choose here. So first of all, I'm going to choose where I'm going to scan. Now, I can drill down into the different areas of the C drive if I want to. So I can select the C drive and then deselect things like program files, maybe these different things that I don't think are going to contain evidence. Now, because this is a data triage, I can really kind of go after these and deselect them if I recognize them as things that are not likely going to contain evidence, and it's going to really speed my collection up. So I'm going to deselect some of these things. Now, if I want to look in the recycle bin, if I want to scan for deleted data, I can select that here, and those things might be of interest to me. Now, of course, scanning and deleted data is going to slow things down as well, because we're going through every sector of the hard drive and scanning for deleted data. So if I am really pressed for time on this, I'm going to want to deselect that. I'm also going to want to deselect things like unknown files, because that would mean that I'm going to acquire every file that I run across that isn't part of these categories that I've selected or deselected. So I'm going to go through here and say, all right, there's certain things that I'm not too interested in. I'm not interested in compressed files. I'm not interested in encrypted files or gaming console files. Now, these gaming console files are Xbox 360 and Xbox One files that have been newly added to support in P2C. Once I've selected things, I can choose to acquire, and that familiar screen is going to come up. And once I hit OK, if there's enough room on the thumb drive that I'm collecting to, it's going to go through and start the collection process. And it's as easy as that. That is targeted data triage collections using DP2C. Once the acquisition has finished, I'm going to take my evidence drive, I'm going to grab that forensic container, the .p2d file, and I'm going to load it as evidence into P2C for analysis. And that concludes the video for data triage collections using DP2C.